I am thankful to be here on stage again. I guess you are also thankful that we have an on-site conference. So who of you has attended over the last 3 years a remote conference? Who was happy with the concept of having conferences only remote? Please raise your hand. One guy. Because you could do multitasking, I guess, and wearing no pants, of course. But I'm really thankful that we're having great moments together again, that we can connect, that we can talk, that we can chat, have snacks all day long, and even have a big fat after party tonight, of course. That we can go crazy. But do you know who's behind those kind of parties? Of course, the tech crew who's doing a good job, but the people who are bringing food to the events, who are serving the caterers, the B2B business. It's Metro, the company where I'm coming from. We are the internal tech department, Metro Digital, so we are doing everything from the website, over the shop, the driver app. We are supporting Salesforce, whatever you can imagine you really need to run an international organization. And we also have the fancy offices. Now would come the part where I make advertisement that we have a great tech stack, blah, blah, blah. You can find it everywhere here. But I just wanted to stress out that we are a people company, remote first. We really care for our employees. We have a really huge career development program. And if you want to know more about that, just visit the page. There are every information you need. In that company, I'm now a product manager, one of the bad guys talking all day long about OKRs, business, alignments, blah, blah, blah. And in the time next to that, I'm a father since this year. What brings me personally to my biggest problem. I don't have any time to learn a new framework. How should I do that? When should I do that? During work, management is pushing. At home, baby is crying. Therefore, you have to deal with it. And I searched for a way how to turn my ideas into reality real quick. I needed a convenient framework, easy to start, fast to develop, easy to maintain also for people who have no idea of app development. And there comes Flutter into the game. Flutter is a cross-app platform powered by Google. You can run directly Android, iOS, and nowadays even web, Linux, macOS, Windows. So more or less one framework to rule them all. You now think of Google, the bad company. But is that the company that already has a graveyard with 273 dead products? You may know iGoogle, Picasa, and there are many more there. But on the other side, it's a good failure culture, right? They are making really prominent where they fucked up. And that's really cool. And then, yeah, really Google. It's a good company for that. We already had the colleagues here on stage multiple times. So why not try Flutter? But then, next to Flutter, there's also React Native, big player on the market. Who of you has any idea of React Native or Flutter? Shit, I have to take care of what I'm saying today. Therefore, short quiz time. Please raise your right arm if you guess that the app was developed with Flutter, or the left if it was done via React Native. Maybe you can see the difference. What do you think is BMW using to connect to their cars, to their electric vehicles? Flutter or React Native? It's Flutter. They changed it. They were using React in the beginning. Now they are on Flutter. Then Tesla. Not really a car company, more a tech company. Flutter or React? This time it's React. And last but not least, a very critical app. It's a banking app. I guess from South Africa, the new bank. Do they cross-app development, no native integration at all? Yes, they do. And they are using Flutter. But enough of the big ads here, let us come to a short point. Flutter versus React, what to choose? First of all, if you need performance in your app, if you really rely on performance and you don't want to have that kind of spinning cats all around, you have to go native. There's no doubt, no workaround. But how many apps do you really have on your smartphone that are such critical that you do not want to see those kind of spinning icons? I cannot imagine of so many, because imagine Teams already has crazy loading times and directly native developed. Other apps, you have also their loading times. Therefore, there's not that big difference. And for the guys who like tables and some more details here, that is a short comparison between Flutter and React Native. The most interesting thing here is, let me search my mouse cursor here. There it is. That the community on Flutter is fast growing, on React Native is stable, but more important about the reusability. If you compare here React Native with Flutter, why is in average only 50% of Flutter code reusable and React Native much higher? We will solve that today, and there's a specific reason for that. So in the end, there's no clear answer, either React Native or Flutter. I already heard that the colleagues from Edeka, from Eddie down there, they're searching right now Flutter developers, but in the market itself, there are more React Native developers. Just choose one of your kind, but Flutter is a good way to go. Flutter itself, it's written in Dart, a new language also developed by Google. What is Dart all about if you're coming from other languages? Dart is object-oriented, class-based, has a garbage collector, so no moving around of pointers like in C, and has a C-style syntax. That is the advertisement I copy-pasted from Wikipedia. Not a big surprise that a common or new programming language has this kind of features. If you look into the documentation of Dart itself, it's getting more interesting. How and for what suit Dart was developed. Dart is made for asynchronous programming. It's, so to say, event-driven, because every click, every interaction, having callbacks, databases, servers, whatever, are events. And therefore, you have futures, so stuff you have to wait for. Asynchronous functions, where you do not care when it's solved, like writing into the database, saving some values. Or if you're waiting for a value from the database, simply await. You have then sound null safety. That's a very nice feature, also well known for other languages like functional programming closure. Directly during compile time and during editing time, you can see if any value is maybe null, and the editor will give you a compiling error then. It's not during runtime that at some crazy moment, like in Java, you have there some null pointer exception. No, it's during development. You can really catch that in the beginning. Then you have collection if and collection for. For me, coming from Metro, also dealing with a big basket when people are shopping there, that's very nice. Imagine you have a basket full of tortillas, popcorn, nachos, whatever there, and you have a voucher for that customer. Therefore, at one point, maybe in your collection, there's a specific if that voucher is there, maybe you have a different price. You can directly integrate that into the list. And last but not least, you have isolated based concurrency. Every operation is run isolated on a thread, and the only thing that will be exchanged with others are non-mutable objects. You do not have to care about mutation then. But for me, it's just easy to read. You have a very fast learning curve. You have many built-ins, especially for app programming. Many stuff you can do, you can copy-paste from Stack Overflow, what else? and it simply does the job for fast prototyping. And it has a very nice mascot. It's a little fat hummingbird. I have no clue why they blew that bird up, but it's standing for the performance part of Flutter, that it's really fast, and on mobile phones, more than 60 FPS if you want to do some 2D programming there. But who of you is caring for the language if you do programming or solving some problems? Please raise your hand. Do we have some evangelists here? Some are here. The other one are only caring for the result, so that the language does its job, I guess. Therefore, maybe you care, maybe not. That is not as worse as Java if you have the big objects there. Let us have a short look on Flutter. What is Flutter in 3 steps? The first one, everything in Flutter is a widget. The big scaffold out there, maybe the T-Mobile, and then the different bars, everything there, a widget. You have a date-time widget, you only have the time, and you have the new widget that were introduced. I got the update yesterday. So everything is a widget. Those kind of widgets can either have a state or no state. We really like a full state here, like on the image, hopefully also this evening. But sometimes you do not need a state. But if you have one, that is the reason why most of the time 50, 60, 70% of the code is reusable. The other part, you have a nasty state that you're carrying around. That is maybe one drawback when it comes to Flutter development. And third thing, you have a widget tree in Flutter. Like your DOM in web development, if you start with the outer shell of an UI, everything is nested in there. For the Lisp developers in here who are really friends of parentheses all around, you will love it because there's a lot of nested stuff in there. You have to live with it, but the editor is supporting you very well. And therefore, let us have a look how a short Hello World app is looking like in Flutter. Therefore, we can go here into the console. I guess it's still... Is that big enough? OK, no complaints. And here you can easily say, I already tested it, Flutter create, and we just integrated now 3 different platforms, Android, iOS, and web. If you want to do a native Mac app, of course you need a Mac. If you want to deploy to Windows, you need a Windows machine, and Linux, of course, some Linux OS. But if we do that new sample here, it will run some stuff, and we can open it directly. And what we have is already a small app that is giving you this structure here on the left. You can see that you have some Android folder, iOS folder, and web folder. Normally, you never touch those folders. There's no need to, because there are also plugins to change the app name directly, to change the icons. You don't have to do that manually. Therefore, take those folders in the beginning for granted. They are there, and you are done. For tests, we do not care today, but we are interested here in the library. That is now the main program. I will remove some comments here. We do not need them for this talk. They are in here by default. And then we can see that this app has, of course, a main entry point. Surprise. And then we have an app that is a stateless widget. So the app itself, the outer shell, has no state. But it has a widget, and every widget has a build constructor. And here we are getting a so-called material app. Let me just run that stuff on the emulator. Nope, not that one. key is still here, but it won't spin up. Now it should compile to the emulator of the iPhone. If you open Android Studio, for example, you can also take an Android smartphone, and I will show you in a second that it's also very easy to run that on the web. That took long for the first time. Here you can see now that we have a stateful app. Why do we have a state? Let me scroll down for you, because we have to remove more comments. You can see they really take you by hand and explain everything in the default app. Here we have our widget tree. In the main build function, we have the outer scaffold. We can directly see the app bar with the widget title, that is here Flutter demo homepage. And then some stuff is centered in a column. Also the column is centered. The column can have many different widgets. Like this text, we directly have hot reload on the right side. We can also say stuff like, no, he won't. Then we will do it at a different point with the hot reload. We only added some points here. And then state is given you by the push action. That is here the increment function that's just incrementing the internal state. What you can also directly do with hot reload is that we change, for example, the background colors to whatever we want to have here. I guess that's now the demo effect. Therefore, let me switch to the bigger example, and I will show you what I mean in a second. That is now the real app I want to show you today. It's a to-do app, also hosted on GitHub. You can copy-paste the code and play around. Even if the app is getting bigger, structure here on the left is the same. We have the main function again, the main app. And then what I have added for you is some more stuff like the brightness. I will run the code again to have that also in the emulator. Hopefully it won't take 24 seconds again. But you can directly set different themes. Here I set up the material theme, but you also have different themes for iOS that you can directly choose your way of programming you want to have. Now it has been only 8 seconds. That's good. So for hot reload, if you do not want to have that, is it not bright? No, it's light. It's directly changing. You can also see here the little button. Normally it should be gray, but if we go into the dark mode again, your Flutter framework is directly taking care of the color and changing that to the suitable one in the dark mode. That is just some part for internationalization, because the app is here in German English version, and that's everything you need in the main app. What this app can do for you, if you have no to-do item at all, you have a shrug emoji, but you can easily add a to-do, like drink beer or wine, description is tonight, and then we have an item. What we also have for demo purpose is switching colors from item to item, and some swipeable action. If you swipe to the right, it will be deleted. If you swipe to the left, it will be set to done, or you can directly interact with that. How is that looking like in Dart code itself? Therefore, I will directly scroll down to the build function again. You can see We have the same scaffold, we have the same app bar, this time only integrated with a little icon here. I will hide that. And then the body is a little bit different. Since we are reading the different items from a database, we need a construct that is called a future builder in that case. That is taking the actual context of the app, has some magic thingies here that will return a list of to-dos, will read in the future everything from the database, and if the snapshot from the database is empty, you have that icon. Otherwise, you have the common list view builder that is well known from other app environments, and we are just reassembling a new object that is here a to-do object. That is all the magic. Some stuff to make it nicer, like some padding, some item count that the app knows where it is, and that's all. I also said to you that we want to see that in the web, and therefore we can say, Flutter, run that shit in Chrome. Also 24 seconds maybe? No, only 11. And then we can see that that is the same app with the same design, the same interactions directly in the web. The reason why you don't see now any to-do item is because the library I have used here for SQLite in the backend, that's not a real backend, is not supporting web environments. That's one drawback if you have now different plugins that you want to use. Some are supporting different environments. This library is not supporting web, only Android and iOS. Within the README, I have given you a different package that can do the magic here. What we can also have a look at is, let me search for the little plus icon, get to-dos, nope. Handling to-do change is how you're interacting here with the state and with the database then. For example, if we want to delete stuff, we just tell the DB provider at that place we want to delete an item. We update our state that a specific item will now be removed. Then everything else from the framework will take care that it will be rendered, that this item will be taken out, and so on. And then we have the little toast again, like here, node was deleted. And it's the same if you are checking or unchecking items, that if you click it, the current item is not checked, it will be reversed. We update our database, we update our state, and we also show a toast. Then one more thing for demo purpose. I'm scrolling down, jumping around. We have the floating action button and the add to do dialog. There it's hidden. Here you can also see how Flutter is dealing with widgets. Also the dialog again, it's a widget, but without state. It has a builder. In that builder, we have some kind of alert dialog. And now comes the nasty nesting part. We have all the little indentations. Everything is then shift to the right. And either you like it or you hate it. In the end, the IDE is supporting you. Maybe it's not very well visible here on the screen, that the line itself is bigger and marked. You directly know where you are. And with the plugin for colorful parentheses, you also know where you are at that state. Coming back to the presentation. And also here for short demo purpose, that is everything you need to have only a centered hello world in a Flutter app itself. It's very short, very comprehensive. And this is one reason why many companies have switched from React Native to Flutter, because in the end, it's more comprehensive, easier to merge, easier to read, even if you have the nasty parentheses and indentation overall, and you have faster working times. My call to action is just try it out, play around, give it a try. It's not a new fancy framework. It's there for already several years. Therefore, not now, when else, because I only have time during conferences to do such things. I will take care of a little crying baby tomorrow again. Therefore, first night without a baby, I can sleep well today. And here you have the GitHub link and also the link from the company if you want to sneak around and see some fancy stuff that we are doing there. And I'm happy to answer all of your questions.